Democratic lawmakers are taking the unusual step of taking out liability insurance in the event of legal action by the Trump administration. So what does that mean? Well, my guest tonight wrote about it. Riley Rogerson from NOTUS is up late with me tonight on the Final Five. Riley, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
This is interesting because really it says it all in the title of your piece for NOTUS, but let's dive into what that means right now and what you are seeing.
Right. So what we're observing at NOTUS is that more and more Democrats are taking out liability insurance. This isn't a totally new concept. Some Democratic lawmakers have been doing this for years, but it's become much more urgent for more of them with recent steps the Trump administration and Trump allies have taken against Democrats. I'm thinking President Trump threatening to arrest California Governor Gavin Newsom. That's something several Democrats raised to me and my colleague. I'm also thinking about Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, who was at an ICE facility in New Jersey and was served with a federal indictment. So Democrats, this is really on their mind, how the Trump administration is treating them, and they're trying to take precautions to prevent being prosecuted.
And what we saw play out, you mentioned California with Senator Padilla during that hearing with Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and the takedown there. And obviously, certainly not the last we're going to hear about how that all played out, too. So as you mentioned, the concept of this is nothing new, but we have certainly seen these are extraordinary times. And we're dealing with these ICE detainment facilities where members of Congress want to get tours of them, and some are and some aren't. It seems like, as you said, when have we seen this play out before?
Right. I think the closest thing that we saw to these moments, or how Democrats are thinking about these moments, was really in the run-up to the election. There was a big spark in Democrats preparing themselves for this potentially happening. Democrats, or Republicans, made a big show of calling out the weaponized Justice Department and how that was going after President Trump. Now Democrats are using a very similar argument to say that that's happening with them. I think Democrats are saying that this is kind of a new space for the second Trump administration, but they're using very similar language to talk about it that Republicans were.
So you mentioned those lawmakers out there too, and I mean, is it primarily lawmakers who may see themselves in the line of legal fire, or is this sort of a blanket idea that even lawmakers we may not know of, lawmakers that are not necessarily headline makers, are pursuing as well?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's one that my colleague and I had. So we asked a really wide range of Democratic lawmakers if they were pursuing these protections. And we found that, several who have never faced legal threats were taking this out just to be safe. Jared Moskowitz was one who told us he took it out just a couple of days ago because he was concerned, even though there's been no legal threats made against him. So this has been a wide range. Multiple Democrats told us this is something happening really organically in conversations amongst Democrats. They're trying to protect each other and make sure that they're as prepared as humanly possible if there are lawsuits filed.
How much does this set them back? Do you have any ballpark figure on what that is? I mean, look, I know I've seen, I've gotten things in the mail for, to set up a legal plan to plan ahead for the future. I imagine if you're a member of Congress going up against the White House, it's a little bit of a different beast.
I actually do have a number because Congressman Moskowitz did offer that up. He said it cost about $500. So for a member of Congress, he said this is a no-brainer. Everyone should be taking this out. But the reality is not everyone has. When my colleague and I spoke to Democratic senators, particularly senators from New Jersey, where this is one of the states that's been kind of in the spotlight lately, they had said they never considered this before. And it's just a real shame that this is even part of the conversation. So it's not just a blanket thing where members of Congress come in and take this out. It's a new concept, and it's growing in popularity.
Before we go, obviously big weekend in D.C. with the military parade. And I'm curious what Capitol Hill looks like just with the preparations and members of Congress. I mean, I'm assuming at this point we're into Friday. It's pretty dead up there.
Yeah, members of Congress, it's interesting. It's been reported many Republicans are not going to be there. Speaker Mike Johnson will not be attending the parade this weekend. He is moving, so he's dealing with that, which makes sense. But in terms of the preparations here on the Mall, it's definitely starting to be road closures. You're seeing a lot of trucks and setup. Just on my commute on Thursday, I saw multiple tanks pulling up towards the parade, on the back of trucks. So the city is definitely starting to prepare.
Riley Rogerson from NOTUS joining us here on the Final Five. We always appreciate you, Riley.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
And the Final Five is back after this.